The airport was loud. Very, very loud. Families dragged rolling suitcases across shiny floors. Babies cried. Announcements echoed from speakers overhead about flights leaving and arriving. Gate B-23 buzzed with hundreds of people rushing to catch planes, hug loved ones, or grab coffee before boarding. But one woman stood perfectly still. Her name was Elena Vargas, and she looked terrified. Elena was 27 years old with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore a loose blue dress that hung over her round belly. Anyone who looked at her would think she was going to have a baby soon. She clutched her stomach with both hands, breathing slowly, like each breath hurt. Her eyes darted around the terminal. Left, right, behind her. She kept checking, kept watching. Something was wrong. Near the security checkpoint, Officer Daniel Miller stood with his police dog, Rex. Rex was a German shepherd with alert brown eyes and ears that pointed straight up like triangles. His black and tan fur was perfectly groomed. A badge hung from his collar that read K9 Unit. Rex had been trained for 3 years to find bad things. Drugs, weapons, danger. His nose was 1,000 times better than any human nose. He could smell things hidden in bags, pockets, even inside people's bodies. Today, Rex was supposed to be checking bags near the metal detectors. But suddenly his head snapped up, his nostrils flared. His whole body went stiff. Rex, Officer Miller, looked down at his partner. "What is it, boy?" Rex didn't answer. Dogs don't talk, of course. But his body spoke loud and clear, every muscle tensed. His ears shot forward. His eyes locked onto something across the terminal. "Elena!" "Rex, heel," Miller commanded, pulling gently on the leash. But Rex didn't heel. He didn't sit. He didn't obey. Instead, he lunged. His powerful legs pushed off the ground, and 90 pounds of police dog charged across the terminal like a furry rocket. The leash flew from Miller's hand. "Rex! No!" Miller shouted, running after him. People screamed. A little boy dropped his juice box. An old man stumbled backward. A mother grabbed her daughter and pulled her close. And Rex ran straight for Elena. Elena saw him coming. Her eyes went wide with pure terror. She pressed both hands harder against her belly and backed against the wall. "No, please," she cried out. Rex reached her in seconds. Then something strange happened. He didn't bite her. He didn't knock her down. Instead, Rex jumped up and planted his front paws on Elena's stomach. His nose pushed against her belly. He sniffed and sniffed and sniffed some more. Then he started whining, not an angry growl, a worried, desperate whine that made him sound almost frightened. "Get him off her," someone yelled. "That dog's attacking a pregnant woman," another voice shouted. Miller finally caught up, grabbing Rex's collar. "Rex, down, down." But Rex wouldn't stop. He kept his nose pressed to Elena's belly, sniffing frantically. His tail was down. His ears were back. Every part of his body language screamed, "Danger, danger, danger." Security guards rushed over. 3 of them surrounded Elena and Rex. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" A female guard asked Elena. Elena shook her head. Tears ran down her cheeks. I'm fine. The dog didn't bite me." "Are you sure?" The guard looked at Elena's stomach. "Your baby—" "My baby is fine," Elena whispered, but her voice cracked when she said it, and her hands shook. Miller finally pulled Rex back, but the dog kept fighting the leash. He wanted to stay with Elena. He needed to stay with Elena. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," Miller said, breathing hard. "He's never done anything like this before. I don't understand what got into him." But Rex understood. His nose told him everything. This woman was carrying something dangerous, something that could hurt people, something hidden under that round belly. A supervisor arrived, a tall man with gray hair and a serious face. "What's going on here?" "The K9 jumped on this passenger," the female guard explained. "But she says she's not hurt." The supervisor looked at Rex. The dog was still pulling toward Elena, still whining. "Miller," the supervisor said slowly, "why is your dog acting like that?" Miller frowned. He'd worked with Rex for 2 years. He knew every signal, every behavior. And right now, Rex was showing his alert position, the same way he acted when he found drugs hidden in a suitcase or weapons tucked in someone's coat. Sir, Miller said carefully, Rex is indicating. Indicating what? That this woman is carrying something she shouldn't be. All eyes turned to Elena. Her face went white, whiter than paper, whiter than snow. That's crazy, she said, but her voice was so quiet people could barely hear her. I'm just a passenger. I'm just trying to catch my flight. Ma'am, the supervisor said gently, would you mind coming with us to a private security room, just so we can sort this out? Elena looked at the exit. For a second, it seemed like she might run. But where would she go? Security guards surrounded her. Cameras watched from every corner. And Rex stood there, staring at her stomach, knowing. Okay, Elena finally whispered, I'll come. They walked toward a gray door marked security. Authorized personnel only. Miller followed with Rex, who refused to take his eyes off Elena. The dog walked beside her like a shadow, nose still twitching, body still alert. Other passengers watched and whispered, Did you see that? Why did the dog jump on her? Poor woman. She's pregnant. This is terrible. But as they disappeared through that gray door, one question hung in the air. What did Rex smell? What was Elena hiding under that blue dress? And why was she so scared? Inside the security room, bright lights buzzed overhead. A metal table sat in the center. Chairs lined the walls. A camera blinked red in the corner. Elena sat down slowly, still holding her stomach. Miller stood with Rex by the door. The dog sat at attention, but his eyes never left Elena. He whined again, that same worried, desperate sound. The supervisor pulled up a chair across from Elena. Ma'am, I need to ask you some questions. Elena nodded, but tears kept falling. Are you carrying anything illegal? No. Are you transporting anything for someone else? No. Then why is our trained police dog indicating that you're carrying narcotics? Elena's hands trembled. Her bottom lip quivered. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then Rex did something that shocked everyone in the room. He broke free from Miller's hold, walked right up to Elena, and gently placed his head on her knee. Not attacking, not aggressive, comforting her. He looked up into her crying eyes and whined again, softer this time, like he was saying, I know you're scared, but you need to tell the truth. And that's when Elena broke. It's not what you think, she sobbed. I didn't want to do this. They made me. They said they'd hurt my brother if I didn't. They said it was the only way to save him. The supervisor leaned forward. Who made you? What did they make you do? Elena looked down at her round belly, at the place where her hands had been clutching all day, at the place Rex couldn't stop sniffing. I'm not pregnant, she whispered. The room went silent. Then what? The supervisor asked slowly. Are you carrying? Elena closed her eyes. More tears fell. And Rex, the hero nobody understood yet, sat perfectly still beside her, waiting, protecting, knowing that the truth was about to change everything. I need a medical team here. Now! The supervisor barked into his radio. Within minutes, 2 paramedics rushed into the security room with their equipment. A woman with kind eyes and a man carrying a medical bag. Ma'am, we need to examine you, the female paramedic said gently. Is that okay? Elena nodded, still crying. Rex stayed by her side, his warm head still resting on her knee. The paramedics asked everyone except the female security guard to step outside. Miller led Rex into the hallway, but the dog kept looking back through the door's small window, whining softly. Easy, boy, Miller whispered. You did good. You found something. We just need to figure out what. Inside the room, the paramedics carefully lifted Elena's blue dress and gasped. Strapped around Elena's belly was a flesh-colored silicone device. It looked exactly like a pregnant stomach, so real that nobody would ever guess it was fake. But now, up close, they could see the straps, the buckles, the seams, and it was warm, too warm. This is overheating, the male paramedic said, touching it carefully. We need to remove it immediately. "What's inside it?" the guard asked. Elena sobbed harder. "Packets. Dozens of packets." "Packets of what?" Elena could barely speak. "Drugs. Synthetic fentanyl, mixed with other things. They told me it was worth millions." The room went ice cold. Fentanyl, one of the most dangerous drugs in the world. So powerful that just a tiny amount could kill a grown man. So deadly that police officers wore special gloves just to touch it. And Elena had been carrying pounds of it strapped to her body. The paramedics worked quickly but carefully. They unbuckled the straps, slowly peeled away the silicone belly. And there they were, dozens of sealed packets, each one filled with white powder, each one a weapon, each one death wrapped in plastic. They placed everything in a special containment box used for hazardous materials. "We need the drug team," the supervisor said into his radio, his voice shaking. "Full decontamination protocol." The door opened. Miller came back in with Rex. The dog immediately walked to the containment box and sat down beside it. Alert position. His training told him, danger here. Protect everyone. Elena sat in her chair wearing just her dress now, without the fake belly. She looked thin, tired, broken. "Why?" the supervisor asked, sitting back down across from her. "Why would you do this?" Elena wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "My brother. His name is Mateo. He's only 16. She pulled a photo from her pocket with shaking fingers. A smiling teenage boy with dark curly hair and bright eyes. 3 months ago, Mateo got sick, really sick. The doctors said he needed surgery, an operation on his heart that would cost $60,000. The supervisor leaned forward, listening. "My family has no money," Elena continued. "My mother cleans houses. My father died 2 years ago. I work at a grocery store. We tried everything. We asked everyone for help, but nobody had that much money. The hospital said without the surgery, Mateo would die before Christmas." Tears ran down her cheeks faster now. "Then 2 men came to the hotel where I was staying. I was here in America visiting my aunt. Try to figure out how to help my brother. I don't know how they found me. I don't know how they knew about Mateo." "What did they look like?" Miller asked, pulling out a notepad. One was tall with a scar on his neck. The other was short with tattoos on his hands. They showed me pictures of Mateo, walking to school, playing soccer, sitting in our kitchen. Everyone in the room felt a chill. They said they'd been watching my family. They knew everything. They said if I carried this thing to the airport and delivered it to someone in Bogota, they'd give me $70,000, enough for the surgery and more. "And if you refused?" the supervisor asked quietly. Elena's voice dropped to a whisper. "They said they'd hurt Mateo. They said accidents happened to sick boys. They said no one would question it if a kid with a bad heart just stopped breathing." The room went silent. These men weren't just drug smugglers. They were monsters who threatened to murder a sick child. "I didn't want to do it," Elena sobbed. "I'm not a criminal. I've never broken the law. But they had me trapped. If I said no, Mateo dies. If I got caught, Mateo dies without the surgery anyway. I felt like I had no choice." Miller looked at Rex. The dog sat perfectly still, watching Elena with those intelligent brown eyes. He'd sensed something wrong. Not just drugs. Fear, desperation, danger. "When did they give you the device?" the supervisor asked. "This morning, at the airport hotel. They strapped it on me, showed me how to walk, how to hold my stomach, how to act pregnant so nobody would question me." "Did they tell you what was inside?" "They said medicine. Special medicine that was legal here, but legal in Colombia." I believed them at first. But then, Elena touched her stomach where the device had been. It started getting hot, burning my skin. I got scared. I knew medicine wouldn't do that. The male paramedic checked the containment box's temperature gauge. His face went pale. "Supervisor, we have a problem." Everyone turned to him. "These packets are reacting to heat." The silicone device was insulated, but barely. If she'd worn this another hour... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "What would have happened?" the guard asked. The paramedic swallowed hard. The packets would have burst. Synthetic fentanyl would have become airborne. Everyone within 50 feet would have inhaled it. Adults, children, elderly people. We'd be looking at dozens of deaths, maybe more than 100. Elena's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God! Oh my God! They were going to kill everyone? I was going to kill everyone. You didn't know, Miller said firmly. They lied to you, but all those people. Elena couldn't stop shaking. Families, babies. If that dog hadn't jumped on me, if he hadn't made them bring me here, if they hadn't taken this off when they did. She looked at Rex through her tears. The dog walked over to her, gently licked her hand. His tail wagged slowly, just once. Miller knelt down beside his partner. Rex knew. Somehow, he knew this wasn't just about drugs. His nose detected the chemical reaction, the overheating, the danger. He was trying to save everyone in that terminal. Including me, Elena whispered, reaching out to stroke Rex's soft fur. He saved me, too. Rex leaned into her touch, accepting her gratitude. The supervisor stood up. We need to find these men. The ones who did this to you. Can you describe them again? Every detail. For the next 20 minutes, Elena told him everything. The hotel room number, what the men wore, how they talked, the tattoos, the scar, the white van they drove, the phone number they called from. Miller wrote it all down while other officers began making calls. Within the hour, police across the city were searching. The drug team arrived in protective suits. They carefully removed the containment box, tested the packets, confirmed everyone's worst fears. This is military-grade synthetic fentanyl, the chief drug officer said, his voice muffled behind his mask, mixed with carfentanil and other compounds. Whoever made this knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't meant to be sold. This was meant to be a weapon. A weapon? The supervisor repeated. If these packets had burst in that terminal, it would have been national news. Dozens dead, hundreds hospitalized. The airport shut down for weeks. This was terrorism disguised as drug smuggling. Everyone stared at Elena, this young woman who thought she was just trying to save her brother, who had no idea she was carrying a bomb made of poison, who almost became part of a massacre. I'm so sorry, Elena whispered. I'm so sorry. But Miller shook his head. You're a victim here, not a criminal. I broke the law. I carried drugs. Under threat of death to your brother. That's called coercion. That's what defense lawyers fight against. The supervisor nodded. We'll need you to testify against these men when we catch them. Can you do that? Elena looked at the picture of Mateo, still clutched in her hand. Her baby brother with the smile and the sick heart and the whole life ahead of him. Yes, she said firmly. I'll tell everyone everything. Those men deserve to be in prison forever. Rex barked once. A sharp, approving sound. Everyone in the room turned to look at the German shepherd. His tail wagged. His tongue hung out in a doggy smile. He looked proud. I think Rex agrees, Miller said, scratching behind his partner's ears. But then alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed in the hallway. What's happening? Elena asked, fear returning to her voice. A guard burst through the door. The men, the ones from Elena's description. Our cameras just spotted them in the parking garage. They're trying to leave. The supervisor grabbed his radio. All units, suspects in the parking garage. Do not let them escape. Miller stood up. Rex, heel. But before they could leave, Elena grabbed Miller's sleeve. Please, catch them. Make them pay for what they tried to make me do. Miller nodded once. Then he and Rex ran out the door, racing toward the parking garage where two very bad men were about to learn that you can't run from justice. Especially when justice has 4 legs, sharp teeth, and the best nose in the entire airport. Miller and Rex burst through the stairwell door into the parking garage. The smell of car exhaust and concrete filled the air. Tires squealed somewhere in the distance. There! Another officer shouted, pointing to a white van speeding toward the exit. Rex's ears perked up. His muscles tensed. He was ready. Rex, pursue. Miller commanded. The German shepherd took off like a rocket. His powerful legs ate up the distance between him and the van. Other officers jumped into their patrol cars, sirens wailing, but Rex was faster. The van screeched around a corner. The driver, the tall man with a scar, looked in his rearview mirror and saw Rex gaining on them. "There's a dog chasing us," he yelled to his partner. "Just drive," the short man with tattoos screamed back. But the parking garage only had one exit, and police cars were blocking it now, lights flashing red and blue. The van slammed on its brakes. Smoke poured from the tires. The two men jumped out and ran in opposite directions. "Big mistake. Rex, take down," Miller shouted. Rex made his choice in a split second. He went for the tall man with the scar, the one who had threatened to hurt Mateo, the one who had smiled while terrorizing Elena. The man ran hard, but he couldn't outrun a trained police dog. Rex leaped through the air and grabbed the man's arm in his jaws. Not hard enough to seriously hurt him, but hard enough to bring him crashing to the ground. "Get it off me. Get OFF," the man screamed. Other officers surrounded them within seconds. They snapped handcuffs on the tall man, while Rex held him down, growling. "Good boy, Rex," Miller said, arriving breathless. "Release." Rex let go but kept his eyes locked on the criminal. His message was clear. Try to run again. Please. I dare you. Meanwhile, other officers had caught the short man with tattoos try and climb a fence. He didn't get far either. Both men were arrested. Read their rights. Thrown into the back of police cars. The nightmare Elena had been living was finally over. Before we continue with the incredible conclusion, if you're loving Rex's heroic story, please hit that share button and subscribe. Stories like this remind us that heroes come in all forms, sometimes with badges, sometimes with fur, and always with courage. Don't miss what happens next. Back in the security room, Elena sat wrapped in a blanket someone had brought her. She'd stopped crying, but her eyes were red and puffy. A female officer came in with a warm smile. "Elena, I have good news. We caught them. Both men are in custody." Elena's hands flew to her face. "Really? They can't hurt Mateo anymore?" "Never again. They'll go to prison for a very long time. Terrorism, drug trafficking, coercion, threatening a minor. The list goes on and on." For the first time in months, Elena smiled. A real smile. A smile that said, maybe everything will be okay. But then her smile faded. "What about me? I still carry the drugs. I still broke the law." The officer sat down beside her. "The prosecutor has already been briefed. They know you were coerced. They know you were a victim. And they know that if it wasn't for your cooperation, we never would have caught these men. You're going to be okay, Elena. But the money for Mateo's surgery, I don't have it. Those men didn't pay me. My brother is still sick." The officer's smile grew wider. "About that, something amazing is happening right now." The story of Rex and Elena spread through the airport like wildfire. Passengers who'd witnessed Rex's jump told other passengers. Security guards told their supervisors. News reporters caught wind of the story and started making calls. Within hours, the tale of the brave police dog who saved hundreds of lives was on the local news, then the national news. Then it went viral on social media. People everywhere saw the footage from airport security cameras. Rex lunging at Elena. Rex refusing to leave her side. Rex sitting protectively beside the containment box. Rex chasing down the criminals. And everyone fell in love with him. But more importantly, they heard about Mateo, the 16-year-old boy with the sick heart, the innocent kid who almost lost his sister. The reason Elena had been so desperate, and people wanted to help. An airline CEO who'd been in the terminal that day started a fundraiser. This young woman risked everything for her brother. Let's show her that goodness still exists in this world. Within 24 hours, the fundraiser raised $75,000, more than enough for Mateo's surgery. Officers from the K-9 unit donated their own money. Passengers who'd been in Gate B-23 that day donated. Strangers from across the country donated. Even the paramedics who'd removed the device donated. Elena couldn't believe it when they told her. "Why?" she asked through fresh tears. Why would strangers help me after what I did? The female officer squeezed her hand. Because Rex showed us the truth. He showed us you weren't a criminal. You were a sister trying to save her brother. And people recognize love when they see it. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in a courtroom. She wore a simple black dress. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her lawyer sat beside her. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes and gray hair, looked at Elena over her glasses. Ms. Vargas, I've reviewed your case thoroughly. I've read the police reports, the witness statements, the evidence of coercion and threats against your brother. Elena held her breath. While you technically broke the law by transporting illegal substances, the circumstances surrounding your actions demonstrate clear duress and coercion. You were a victim of a criminal enterprise that exploited your love for your family. The judge paused. Furthermore, your cooperation led to the arrest of 2 dangerous individuals who planned to commit an act of terrorism. Your testimony has been invaluable to this case. Elena's lawyer smiled. Therefore, I'm sentencing you to 2 years probation and 200 hours of community service. No jail time, no permanent criminal record. If you complete the term successfully, you're free to return to your family, Ms. Vargas. Elena burst into tears. Thank you so much. But the judge wasn't finished. There's someone else who needs to be recognized today. Officer Miller, would you please bring Rex forward? Miller stood up from the back of the courtroom. Rex walked beside him, tail wagging, tongue out. They approached the judge's bench. Rex, the judge said, looking down at the German Shepherd with a warm smile, your actions that day saved countless lives. You detected danger when humans couldn't. You showed us that sometimes the truth needs 4 legs and a cold nose to reveal itself. The courtroom laughed. The judge held up a special medal. It was gold and engraved with words. REX, Hero of Gate B23, for valor and service above and beyond. She came around her bench and knelt down. Carefully, she attached the medal to Rex's collar. Rex sat perfectly still, accepting the honor with dignity. Then he did something that made everyone in the courtroom smile. He barked once, loud and proud. The courtroom erupted in applause. Elena walked over to Rex and Miller. She knelt down beside the dog who'd changed her life. Thank you, she whispered, wrapping her arms around Rex's neck. You saved my brother. You saved me. You saved everyone. Rex licked her cheek. His tail wagged so hard his whole back end moved. He knows, Miller said softly. Dogs always know. 6 months later, Elena received a video call on her phone. When she answered, Mateo's face filled the screen. He was smiling, really smiling. His cheeks had color. His eyes were bright. Elena, guess what I did today? What? Elena laughed. I played soccer for a whole hour, and I didn't get tired. The doctor says my heart is completely healed. Elena's eyes filled with happy tears. That's wonderful, Mateo. Behind her brother, she could see their mother and aunt. They were crying too, happy crying. The surgery had been a complete success. The fundraiser money had covered everything plus physical therapy. Mateo was healthy, strong, living the life of a normal teenage boy, all because of a dog named Rex who wouldn't stop sniffing. Have you visited Rex lately? Mateo asked. Can I see him when I come visit you? Actually, Elena smiled. I'm seeing him tomorrow. I visit the K-9 unit every week. I'm doing my community service there, helping train new police dogs. That's so cool. Tell Rex I said thank you. Tell him I'm going to be a police officer when I grow up, just like Officer Miller. Elena's heart swelled with pride. I'll tell him, Hermanito. The next day, Elena arrived at the K-9 training facility carrying a special toy, a red rubber ball that squeaked. Rex saw her coming and ran to the fence, tail wagging wildly. Hey, hero, Elena said, opening the gate. Rex jumped up, putting his paws on her shoulders. He was so happy to see her. He practically vibrated with joy. Miller walked over, grinning. He always knows when it's your day to visit. Sits by the gate an hour early. Elena threw the ball. Rex chased it like a puppy, even though he was a decorated police dog with medal and everything. How's Mateo? Miller asked. Healthy, happy, alive. Elena watched Rex playing, and tears filled her eyes again. Good tears. All because of you and Rex. No, Miller said firmly. All because you were brave enough to tell the truth. All because you loved your brother more than you feared the consequences. That takes real courage, Elena. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Rex play. You know what the best part is? Elena said after a while, What's that? For the rest of my life, whenever someone asks me who saved me, I get to say, a German shepherd named Rex who saw the truth when everyone else saw a danger. A hero with 4 legs who proved that sometimes the most important thing isn't what we see with our eyes. It's what we smell with our hearts. Miller laughed. I think you mean feel with our hearts. No. Elena smiled, watching Rex return with the squeaky ball. Rex smelled my fear, my desperation, my love for my brother. He smelled the danger and the truth all mixed together. Dogs know things we don't. They understand things we can't see. Rex dropped the ball at her feet and sat down. His tongue hung out. His tail wagged. His medal caught the sunlight and gleamed gold. He was a hero, not because he wore a badge, not because he'd been trained, but because when it mattered most, he chose to protect someone everyone else thought was guilty. He chose to see the victim inside the criminal. He chose to be brave when being brave meant jumping on a woman in an airport and refusing to let go until the truth came out. Elena threw the ball again. Rex chased it into the sunshine. And somewhere in the sky above, the universe smiled. Because in a world that sometimes feels dark and scary, there are still heroes. Heroes who bark. Heroes who wag. Heroes who remind us that love, loyalty, and truth always win in the end. Even if those heroes have 4 legs and a really, really good nose. If this story touched your heart, please share it with everyone you know. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another incredible true story about courage, redemption, and the amazing animals who change our lives. Rex's story proved that heroes come in all shapes, and sometimes they have paws.